What's up, guys? Squishy Pixels here, back with part 4 of the Chatbot website series. In this episode, we're going to be configuring our API, getting the response to the user's input, and then showing that back to the user. Okay, so last episode, we got the user input, and the episode before that, we made the front-end UI. So in this episode, we're actually going to be doing two things. So we're going to be sending the input to the API and also getting our response. And also we're going to be showing that response to the user. Okay, so before we can continue with this tutorial, we actually need to get an API key so we can connect the AI to our website. So to do this, we could use the ChatGPT API, which is what I bet pops into a lot of your guys' minds. But the problem with this is the ChatGPT API costs money because you need a premium account. And I'm assuming most of you watching this video don't want to pay that fee. So we're going to be using the freer alternative, which is the Google Gemini API. So to access it, all you want to do is search up Google Gemini API. And you want to click this link here that says get a Gemini API key. Now, I will also be linking this in the description, so you can also just go there and get one. So once you are on this page, you need to click this Get a Gemini API key in Google AI Studio. It will redirect you to this page over here. And now you can click Create API Key. And inside of here, you can say My First Project and click Create API Key in Existing Project. Okay, so once the API key has been generated, now what you want to do is just click copy, and we're going to use this later on. Okay, so before we can start coding, there's one final thing we have to do, which is we need to download the Google Generative AI library into our IDE. So to do that, you're going to go to your terminal here and type in pip install Google-Generative AI. And I've already installed this package, which is why for me, it's going to say requirement already satisfied. But for you guys, it should download. So once this is finished downloading, what we need to do is import it into our code. So we can say import Google.GenerativeAI as GenAI. And essentially what this is doing is it's importing the library, but as GenAI. So that way, anytime we're referencing this library, we don't have to type in Google.GenerativeAI. We can just type in GenAI, which is a lot more convenient. So now there's a lot of configuration that goes into this AI model. Like, for example, we need to make a config thresholds for safety settings, what model we're using, etc. And I don't want to manually code that all up as it's already provided on the Google Gemini website. So I'm actually just going to copy and paste it in, and I will link what I'm copying and pasting in the description so you guys can use it as well. So once you have that code, you want to go right below your app equals __name and paste all that code in. And it should look something like this. And right above this, we need to actually configure the API key that we got from the Google Gemini website. So we're going to say genai.configure API key equals, and inside of here, you would paste your API key. And mine will be blurred for privacy reasons. Okay, now that we have everything configured for our AI to run in our program, we're going to start actually coding it up. So what we need to do is first start a chat history. So that way, when the AI responds, it's going to be using our message to respond. So to do this, we can say convo, which is going to be the variable name, equals model.startChat, and then make a list called history inside, and for now, it will be empty. So now we have to go to a post route in the actual program, and over here, we get the user's input, but we're just printing it. Instead, what we want to do is we want to send that input that the user gave us to the response. So what we're going to say is convo.sendMessage and then input item, because that's what the user sent us. And now we need to actually get the response. So we can say response equals convo.last.text. And the reason we do this is because every time the user sends a response, the last text will be the AI's response. So because of that, we're getting the last text in the history, and that will be the response. So now we can just print this out and see if it's working fine. Now switching over to our live server, we can just type in anything, like for example, how are you doing today? And if we click submit and check back to our terminal, we can see that there is a response from our model in the terminal. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so now that we have the response actually printing in our terminal, what we want to do is show it to the user, because right now we're the only ones who can see it. So to do that, instead of just printing response, we can pass it to our HTML web page. And over here where it says return render template, type in response equals response. And that will pass it over to our HTML. So now the only step left is to actually show it in our HTML. And what we can do is say %, if response, and another %. And this is basically an if statement, but in HTML. And then inside of here, we can make a div class. So we can say div.responseBox. And inside of here, we can show our message. So we can make a P, which stands for a paragraph tag, and we can call it response text. And inside of here, we can just say response. And finally, we need to end our if statement. So over here, we can type in % and if and another %. So our text is successfully showing if you reload your live server and test it out, but you guys probably won't be able to see it because it will be blending in with the background of our website. So to fix this, what we're going to do is add some CSS. So first, we want to specify .response box. And this is like the overarching div. And I want to make the background color for this #333. And this is a dark mode hex, but it should be a little bit lighter than the background. Then we can say border radius 10 pixels. So the text box is rounded and padding 15 pixels. So that way, internally, there's a lot of space between the text and the edge of the box. So we can also just say color white. So the text color is white and it stands out from the background of the text box. And I want the width to be around 50% of the entire screen. So we can write that. And we can say margin 20 pixels auto. And that way it just has space around on all sides. Now we have to actually modify the response is text. So to do that, what we can say is .ai response .response -text. And in here we want to make the font size 1 rem. And this is essentially just a rem is like a lot larger than a regular pixel, so that's why it's only going to be 1 rem. And we're going to say margin top 10 pixels. And now reloading our live server, if we type anything in, like hi, how are you, and click submit, then we can see that the chatbot responds with a text box over here. So it looks a little bit wonky right now, and next video we're going to be fixing that by adding animations and formatting and just polishing up the website as a whole. But for now, if you guys have been watching up to this point, you should have a chatbot which I'd say is around 80% complete. So with that said, keep an eye out for upcoming videos. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.